We now return to open session at 10:25 p.m.
I move that we certify that we spoke of only the issues that were allowed by law and stayed within the parameters of the policy set forth by the General Assembly.
Second.
Mr. Scott is second. At this time, I'd poll the council, starting with Mr. Scott on certified.
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 When we were in closed session, we discussed the vacancy, the pending vacancy of David Ostrander. I've been asked to summarize a motion that will be made by a member of council, and that motion is as follows. For a 6-month trial basis, which will be revisited in April, at the April council meeting of 2018, Dan Martin will be promoted to Director of Public Works and receive an additional $5,000 per year to his salary. Also, 2 employees in the Public Works Department, Melvin Hicks and Wallace Akers, will have added responsibilities in their various capacities, each receive an additional $2 an hour during this 6-month trial basis. And also, because of the December 1st vacancy, departure of Treasurer Gwyneth Prosise, who is overseeing the cemetery with David Ostrander, the town manager will receive his regular hourly rate, approximately $40 an hour, on those times after hours when he is called to the cemetery to either sell a grave, mark a grave, or otherwise assist in the cemetery. That would include weekends, after hours, days that he may be on vacation where he is called back in, holidays. But he has agreed not to, as other employees have been paid time and a half for such work, he would only be paid time. And all this is a 6-month trial basis, and I believe, who would like to make that in the form of a motion?
I think that's
Ms. Thompson's committee.
I would.
Ms. Thompson would like to offer that in the form of a motion. And is there a second to Ms. Thompson's motion? Mr. Tucker has seconded that motion. This is, again, trial basis. This will be revisited, good, bad, or ugly, at the April 2018 council meeting. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Scott.
Aye.
That motion carries 7-0. The only other item up for business, we failed to cover something in committee. The Buildings, Properties, and Cemetery Committee had a 2-to-1 recommendation against, someone has made a third request in recent months to move an existing headstone, and that request was recommended to be denied. Members, would the committee like to enter that in the form of a motion? I believe the request is by Mr. Warren Dalton.
I think that's correct.
Well, I'd like to have some discussion.
Yes.
I know that the hour is late, but we made an exception for someone that came to the podium. I don't know how we can make an exception for someone that hasn't. If it's the same exception we made, I don't see how. Are they the identical? Is there any? In other words,
I think it's an 8-grade section, and I believe he received 2 of the stones. He'd like to put a headstone on 2 lots in an 8-grade section. I don't think that's permissible. I think you can do it in the old section or in 2 grave sections, but this is an 8-grave section. Remember, she kept 4 and then gave away 4 or sold 4, whatever. Warren was the recipient of 2 of them, and he wanted to put a stone on his 2 lots.
because of my ignorance, I'm going to ask you: is this more of an exception than Mrs. Dalton was offered, or is it the same or less?
Is it in writing? That's the key. She got an exception because the policy that we had
He never
articulated
written in there.
Yeah.
The policy doesn't,
exists in writing.
well, it doesn't say that you can do it on 2 grave.
It will soon, but it's not yet.
She didn't put that mark in the center of a lot, did she?
Her?
Uh-huh.
No, she.
And I
no, she
think
didn't.
that's what Ron Dalton wants to not put his in the center of the lot, so he will be in line with her.
I think what it is he's got 2 lots and he wants to put a stone on 2 lots.
Can it be finagled to where he's given 2 lots that he can put a headstone above?
He was given 2 lots
Well, I know, but
in an 8-grave section. If you want to,
I
you
don't
have
want.
plenty of time if you
Yeah,
want.
I don't want
Hear
to.
some more about it or
Yeah.
more
I
about
prefer
it.
not to.
But
2 graves in an 8-grade section?
I think because remember she had 8 and she gave
So-
away 4.
So she was going to do 1 stone and a 4. So my question is, this is asking for even more leniency to the policy that's not
Put a
codified.
stone on a 2-grave section.
Right.
In an 8-grave
Yeah, but she's
section.
got more than 8 grave sites. She's got.
Gosh, you got like 20.
Yeah, so I mean, could it be that she gives Mr. Dalton a different two? I mean,
Perhaps, yeah, I don't know.
Let's stick to principle. The main reason, we have a glowing letter in your packet from a gentleman, because Mr. Green made a motion a couple weeks ago, about last month, that because it wasn't in writing, the 2 headstones were allowed. That same rationale does exist tonight. And you're gonna adopt a new,
Unless this is so far out of the policy that it couldn't
No,
be
I don't think it's
misconstrued.
any irrational request.
Okay,
I don't think
that's
he's
what I was
to-
asking. I didn't have, at this hour, I didn't know how to ask the question, so you've answered it.
so what is the council's pleasure?
I need some antibiotics.
What is the council's pleasure? I don't see you turn this one down. You're gonna get something right, and it'll end all this in November. We're gonna have the November council meeting where you adopt a new policy. I say you got it.
Is this the last one?
no, you may get.
Between now and November, I mean, it might be, but it's gonna be one of the last ones.
I really feel like somewhere along the way, if you're gonna do this, you need to draw the line.
That's November.
That's in November when you adopt it, when you're gonna put it all in writing. It's gonna be all done, it's gonna be foolproof.
I move to allow the request as presented because our policy does not cover that currently.
Is there a second? Mr. Scott has seconded the motion. Any further discussion?
Unfortunately, I know what you feel, and I know what you know, and you're an expert in the field, but I'm gonna have to vote for
You
it.
don't have to, you don't owe me an explanation.
Well,
You just vote your conscience.
I want to give you an explanation.
I like Wade, that is well
I
said.
do owe you one. I do, with your
All right,
expertise.
I'm gonna do a roll call vote, just because I think there'll be some no's. I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote on the motion. Mr. Scott seconded the motion. Starting with Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. Any other business come before this council?
Continue this meeting to the 23rd at 6 o'clock.
We will continue this meeting until next Monday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. We have a joint meeting with the planning commission and a few other items we're
Got
gonna
about
address.
4 or 5
Yep.
other housekeeping.
We are continued until next Monday.
Hell, might as well just take a nap right here.
That's blasphemy.
Why? What have I done wrong?
I feel like this, I don't have a life.
Oh, my
You
God.
said something, Barbara, I've quoted you so many times. You said something the other day. I said, my council president said she feels like her whole life coming up is occupied by someone, she's got something planned. I said,